This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy, Daniel Kooser. Dan, we got a 6-point double victory pod week for No Other Pod, and currently.
My God, dude. We own Canada, baby. We're all up there, up north, getting it done. And freaking Angel City, who the hell are you? What a weekend, dude. I'm jacked out of my mind.
It was pretty wild. It was a pretty, almost perfect soccer Saturday for Kansas City. We got to go down to CPKC Stadium and see the Kansas City Current, repping them, by the way, Kansas City Current, rock Angel City 4-2, and just absolutely dominate them, especially in the first half. You'll talk all about it on Currently this week. And then we went down and, we went up to Canada, I guess, and watched Sporting Kansas City play in a game that we were a little unsure about, I would say, in terms of how it would turn out.
We did not attend, by the way. When you said we were up, we did not. We did not go.
You and I did not make it from CPKC Stadium to an hour later being in Toronto.
That'd be rough. That would have been tough. Dude, those kind of days, you always kind of got to be ready for a loss somewhere. You got to be ready for someone to lose a game if someone wins a game. You can't feel spoiled. You can't get wins everywhere. But when you do, God damn it if it doesn't feel good.
It does feel good. And I'm sure you're all going to talk about it more on Currently, but it seems like we're just not going to have any chill games at CPKC Stadium this year.
No, and we're going to score an average of like 4.5 goals a game there, you know?
Yeah. It's wild. And Sporting decided they were going to put on a little bit of a show. It took them a half to get to it, but we'll talk about that whole game. It was interesting. I do want to touch on a bit. I went on a Toronto FC podcast the week before, and one thing I thought was interesting was they asked sort of like what Sporting KC's perception of the fan perception of the club is. And so we talked a lot about Gavin Wilkinson. We talked a lot about there's been frustration with, the club in terms of not having the success on the field that we had grown accustomed to throughout the 2010s. And that, there was a desire to maybe show a little bit more ambition at times. And what was so interesting, and I hadn't heard this before, but I kind of wanted to get your take on it, is the Toronto fans, they were like, well, we'll tell you from an outside looking in, we kind of envy the way that Sporting's doing it because Toronto has spent all this money and has missed on just about every single one of them, and now find ourselves in a situation where we've spent all the money, we're not any closer, and we've been sort of in a rut for the last 5 years since making the MLS Cup appearances, which really was the last time we paid attention to Toronto because we haven't played them since 2019. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Not that it flips or should flip all Sporting fans' perceptions on it, but it was kind of interesting to get the perception of somebody who's not in it emotionally like Sporting fans are and say, it's actually not a terrible thing to do more of the slow and steady wins the race approach. But I don't know. I just hadn't heard that before. I thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. Dude, what's wild is that if Toronto would have won this game, they'd be top of the East. They've been very good this year. And so I don't know, they haven't scored a ton of goals, but they only allowed 2. Mm-hmm. Through 5 games, they allowed 2 goals. And then we came in and dropped 3 in one game. That's wild. When you do your research and you hear that a team has only allowed 2 goals through 5 games, I mean, you're obviously looking like, okay, what can we crack open? What can we do here to break through? Because clearly they're good defensively. And whatever we did, man, keep doing it. Because we didn't have Alan Polito. We didn't have Johnny Russell. What happened? Oh, I'll tell you what happened. Jake Davis, baby.
Jake Davis, he's super hot right now.
Look,
he's going all over the place.
Oh, man.
He had an article about him written on MLSsoccer.com that he ends up getting a goal and an assist in the game that we're going to talk about. Team of the Match Day honors we're going to talk about. They pulled a prank on him for April Fools.
How dare
they published on SportingKC.com and on the socials. And what did you think of the prank they pulled on young Mr. Jake Davis?
Well, those are always pretty funny, right? A little some pranks I can remember in the past. First, just off the top of my head, I remember as a young rookie where Peter came in to wasn't he meeting some girl at a coffee shop or something, and then Peter showed up?
It wasn't a first date set up. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, who was that guy though? I don't remember.
Charlotte?
No, it wasn't Daniel.
It was. Shoot, I can picture him. He was a fullback.
I see his face, but I don't remember his name.
I wanted to say Connor, but it's not Connor. Colton Storm.
No, Colton Storm. There it was, baby. Storm's a Bruin. I think he's like selling real estate now or something. But and then another one was, I think they took a group of guys and told them they were going to be on some special Dancing with the Stars thing.
Yeah.
And they were like trying to learn a dance. This one was pretty great because everyone knows, I think if you don't know, now you know, Stacey Falk. I think she's a really big Daniel Shalhoub fan. Not sure what gave it away on her Twitter, but she is. And dude, I kind of loved it. I thought it was very funny. I felt real bad for Jake when they were asking like, hey, what did you bring us? Daniel brought us this. And it's like, Jake's probably looking at his production team like, what the fuck, man? Why didn't you bring anything?
It was like a multi-part prank because they bring him in, and Daniel Shalhoub had visited her class before, and she wrote a whole thing on the KC Soccer Journal called The Anatomy of a Sporting KC Prank, where she
does she write for Soccer Journal?
Yeah, she does some stuff there for them.
Okay.
So she kind of broke it down there. But what's so funny is, if you haven't watched it, it's about 5 minutes or so on their social media, is they're asking him some like basic questions at first. And I'm sure the kids, they're like, what, I don't know, 13 years old, it seems like. I'm sure they were told just ask ridiculous questions. So there's a one girl who's like, you have a girlfriend? And he's like, kind of embarrassed. Like, yeah, I do. And then they're like, who's the best player on the team? Who's your favorite player? What's Daniel Shalhoub's best goal? What's the best thing that Daniel Shalhoub's ever done? They just keep, and you can tell he's getting more and more uncomfortable. And then they have him do math problems, and they have him do spelling, and he can't do them. I couldn't do them. I didn't know. They're showing geometry, and I'm like, I don't know how to
the
area of the
yes,
triangle.
I'm glad you said that. Don't say math problems, because that was straight up geometry. I know that's a kind of math, but if you're just thinking like, sure, some math problems, I can hit some algebra. No, bro. They were talking about like area, like parallelograms and shit. It was wild.
It was, things I couldn't do. That's for sure.
No.
There's not a chance in hell.
Did you see Jake write down the answer? Someone said the answer and he wrote it down real quick. And he's like,
he didn't show any work. But then it got more and more awkward when they were like, what'd you bring us, Jake? Or Daniel brought us this stuff. And then they started a "We Want Daniel" chant. And that's when I felt most bad for Jake, because you can tell he's like, I don't know what to do now. Like, I just feel stuck.
Things just went south real fast.
And it could have been the editing, but it felt like it took Daniel a long time to get there, because I kept being like, get there to please alleviate this awkwardness that I feel for Jake.
Right. He did have to like get it. It did seem like he had to get across the school during passing time or something.
There's like kids in the hallway, and there's just this like tall Daniel Shalhoub running like he's trying to,
my God,
get there to relieve his buddy.
Can you imagine if Daniel was running super fast and fell in the hallway and picked up a knock and couldn't play? And
probably be a hamstring game. Because all the guys are hamstrings
these days. They are, man. What's Polito? Why'd he show up in the injury report?
Didn't expect that. I don't know. Friday, all of a sudden, he showed up with a hamstring, and now everybody's got a pulled hamstring. And this is after it made me look like an idiot, because I go on the Toronto FC podcast and talk about Alan Polito and how he dropped back to the number 10 that week, and how it kind of made some sort of a difference in the offense. So, whatever. But
like a bit dummy.
But when we find out Polito's probably not going to play, and then we find out Johnny's definitely not playing, because we already knew that Johnny was going to continue to be out on the injury list. Okay, so now you're thinking Agata, probably Tommy again on the right side, Shalhoub, and then we see Memo in the starting lineup at the number 10. What are your thoughts in terms of, it was already maybe a little bit of a hard, ask to go up to Toronto and get 3 points against that defense, but now we're down our designated player. So how are you feeling?
Bro, it was rough. When I got home, probably had about 30 minutes till kickoff once I got home from KC Current. So I made some dinner real fast. I didn't see the lineup until the game kicked off. So I had no idea what was going on, which was kind of fun for me, because it was just kind of like, here we go. And I'm just like, who's playing? And I didn't even look it up on my phone. I just kind of tried to spot people on the field. They run the little ticker at the bottom to let you know who's on the field. And I was like, okay, well, here we go. And it was kind of fun that way. I felt thrown into the fire, but pretty much like some substitutes feel sometimes.
Yeah, it was. I was a little nervous, because even though Toronto doesn't exactly have a striker that they've like found as an answer, but Bernardeschi, he's a very good midfielder. Jonathan Osorio, he's been around for a while, and obviously their defense has been pretty stout. So figuring out, okay, how are we going to pull some strings and make some things happen without our best, well, who should be our best attacking player? That was going to be difficult for me. Now, what was weird is this game was 0-0 at halftime, but it certainly didn't feel like it should have been 0-0 at halftime. Both teams had numerous chances throughout the first half to score one, if not two goals apiece. I mean, this was not a boring 0-0 first half. This was one where Sporting could have been up 1 or 2-0, and they could have been down 1 or 2-0 in the first half. Either one would have been possible.
It's insane, man. I mean, we're known for getting a lot of shots out there. Shots were 17-12 at the end of the game, but we had a total of 10 shots on goal. Mm-hmm. They only had 2. So, I mean, we were coming, dude. Willie Agata, when he's in there, you're not feeling too bad because it's going to get excited. The man's going to go for goal. And boy, if he wasn't feeling frustrated, he took a little trip inside his shirt for a minute. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He put his shirt over his head because he hit the post once and hit the crossbar once. Just insane. The man just couldn't put it on net. It's
no.
But dude, the chances just happen on both ends, and I was like, we're very lucky that this is 0-0, and Toronto's very lucky it's 0-0. Like it could go either way, and you just kept wondering who's going to break first, who's going to break through this wall. Man, it just felt like it was coming.
It was end to end for a bit. Nemanja Radia in the 8th minute had a laser that he put on target that Willie assisted him with, and that got pushed aside by the Toronto keeper. That was a great save. And then moments later, Toronto goes all the way down, and they have a chance just like a minute later, and there's kind of almost an open net chance that Matty Longstaff has, and he just sends it right over the top of Sporting's goal.
Thank goodness.
Within that minute, either team could have and probably should have scored, but a couple of good saves by the keepers, and then thought he was playing American football there for a second, just couldn't quite do it.
Yeah,
so it was tough. And then in the 20th minute, Toronto sends a cross across the face of goal, and there's a header that goes just across and just outside the net. Sporting KC in the 36th minute, Tim Leibold had a chance. I mean, there is just chance after chance after chance after chance. Sporting even got a chance off a set piece and almost had a headed goal in there that Willie Agata, as you said, he's putting shots on frame all night. They just weren't quite going in. So part of me felt a little lucky when it was 1-0, 0-0 at halftime, especially because it could have been 1-0. Osorio actually put the ball in the back of the net and it got called back off for offside.
Yeah, thank goodness. I mean, dude, I just is there anything more dramatic than like crashing a shot off the crossbar? Like it gives it's the sound it makes. Mm-hmm. And like the implications that it could have gone in, and it's just it's an exciting situation. A crossbar strike, it's wild.
It is. Agata's done it now. Temwa Chawinga for the KC Current did it last week, where it felt like she was shattering the goalpost in San Diego. It's exciting, but it's also like one of the most frustrating plays because you're like, oh, it was so close. Like if I move my foot a millimeter one way or the other, it could send the ball where it needs to go on target, and that might be a goal.
This is only going to do wonders for Willie Agata. I mean, we don't know the status of Alan Pulido. We don't know if he'll be back this weekend for Portland, but Willie having these chances, I mean, against a good Toronto defense, presumably, he's now coming up against Portland this Sunday. I think Willie's going to have all the confidence in the world, man, that he can get a goal or two.
Willie has certainly been looking closer to the Willie of 2 years ago as opposed to the Willie of last year. It's I tried to ask Peter Ramiz about Willie Agata in the postgame. My internet was cutting out, not being great. Been having some weird issues with my internet lately, but he got the point and he answered, and he goes, Willie was a handful for him. I think physically he was a monster. He's unlucky not to get a goal. What a great little action he had on top of the box. And he goes, I was trying to tell him in the last couple of weeks, sometimes he's a little too unselfish, which I think happened against the Galaxy. There were a couple opportunities where Willie probably could have actually taken a shot. He tried to lay it off. But Peter goes on to say his play was a big reason why we won the game. He kept their central guys concerned about him for the majority of the game. He was a handful. That was a big asset to the success of the game for us. So, hey, praise to Willie. I mean, pretty cool for him. Nonetheless, it's 0-0 at halftime. The way things were going, there's not a chance in hell I thought this game was going to end 0-0 with the chances that were being created on both ends. I don't know about you.
No, definitely not. I mean, you like I said, you just kind of wondered, okay, whoever breaks through is going to win this game. It was scary, man. It could have gone either way at that point.
It could have. Sporting ended up creating quite a few chances, I would say, in the second half. If you look at some of the momentum charts, like on Thought Mob or whatnot, even though Toronto had the lion's share of the possession, the momentum started going, which some people will say there's no such thing as momentum in sports, but I believe there is. The momentum clearly started going more Sporting Kansas City's way. And it was in the 57th minute where the ball falls to none other than Remy Voltaire, someone outside the box, and he decides, you know what? I'm going to take a shot. Toronto didn't quite clear it. He takes one touch, fires it off the left foot, and dude, this was a golazo of the highest order.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Freaking had me yelling. My dog was pissed because I yelled. He doesn't like loud noises, but it happened.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I was pretty. I didn't expect Remy Voltaire to take that shot and put it in the back of the net, but he did.
Why not? Why not? He's done it before.
He only scores bangers.
It's not like there was anything special about it. It's like, okay, he's done this, so why doubt this man? You know, no doubts.
Yeah, absolutely. So, shouts to Remy. Pretty proud of him for doing that goal. And there was arguably even better of a goal yet to come. But we're going to go ahead and take our break right here before we get to Jake Davis. We'll be right back.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
Look at that. You tease them. Oh, maybe they're just going to talk about all the goals before they take a break. Oh, no, I got to wait to talk about Jake's goal? God dang it. Freaking commercial.
Bro, I'll pretend I did that on purpose.
You like my shirt? You know what this is?
It's pepperoni pizza.
Ripperoni.
Oh, Ripperoni. I thought it said Rooperoni. I was like, is this a RuPaul thing?
No, bro. That's a BattleBot shirt. Ripperoni is a BattleBot.
BattleBots.
Yeah,
okay.
You ever watch BattleBots?
A long time ago.
It's a lot of fun, dude. It's crazy. You wouldn't think my wife would be in on that, but she's a big fan and bought me this shirt for my birthday. It's very fun. The whole team has like a pizza theme. Ripperoni. They come out dressed like Italian chefs and stuff. I'm not sure if it's insensitive, but it's hilarious. They got like pizza aprons, and their bot has like the spinner on it that looks like a pizza server. It's pretty wild.
Interesting. So BattleBot, did they like revive BattleBots and there's a new version on?
Yeah. Every year they have a new thing. We went a couple years ago in Vegas to their TV taping.
That's awesome. I remember watching BattleBots as a kid, and it was incredible.
It is, and it's just it's just gotten more exciting too. And they'll put it on Max, when it airs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I will also say this would not be no other pod if we didn't mention this. We're going to get to the amazing Jake Davis and the Elenis Vargas goal here in a second, but dude, it's WrestleMania week.
It is WrestleMania week.
We didn't even mention it.
I know it, dude. It's gonna be a long one. There's a lot of wrestling this week, and you don't even watch NXT, so you don't even know that part of it.
I have no idea about that part of it. It's hard enough just to keep up with the regular main shows.
I hope you're ready, man. I've got quite the weekend ahead of me. I got two improv shows Friday and Saturday night.
Well, I'll be out of town on Sunday. I'll be landing at my work conference location, so I'll be probably watching night 2 alone in a hotel room.
Oh, nice.
But is there a match you're most excited for?
I mean, the whole thing, really. But it's Roman Reigns, dude. Like, that's the story. You know what I mean? It always will be. I think he's going to win. So there you go.
Ooh, you're calling it. You think Roman's going to retain?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he's going to lose. You know what I mean? I think he absolutely could retain.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a hot take.
He does not have to lose. I mean, Cody does not need a title to be relevant.
That is true, although I feel like now they could go one of two ways here. They've built the finish the story thing up so much with the game and everything that it's like, I don't know if they can drag that out for another year, like, and do round 3.
They're in extra innings right now.
And that's why part of me, like, it feels like the conventional wisdom, and this is kind of what I feel like might happen, but it's also because it's the conventional wisdom, I feel like it won't happen, is kind of that, you know, somehow The Rock's going to turn on Roman, or he's going to screw him over or something, and Cody's going to win, and that's going to set up a Rock and Roman feud. But
possible.
There's also John Cena might come back. There's hints there. Stone Cold.
That's what's exciting about this, man. You don't know nothing. You can't predict anything. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just anything can happen, and it's super fun that way.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm a Cody stan, so I want him to finish the story. But
and then we're going, dude. It's April, so we're going to Monday Night Raw 4 weeks from tonight. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah,
we're recording. Yeah,
what a time!
April 29th. It's
gonna be wild.
So, be fun. Speaking of people who are just flying off to another level of superstardom, Jake Davis has been just out of control lately. He got profiled by MLSsoccer.com, and then he's continuing to just grow and build his star, and he got the ball in the 64th minute, almost in the exact same spot Remy Voltaire. And it's interesting, you'd think Toronto, if this has happened to them once, maybe they wouldn't let it happen again. Nobody steps to Jake Davis. He's almost in literally the exact same spot on the field. He fires it off his left foot. The biggest difference is Remy's curled a little bit more. This ball Jake hit, he hit it off his right foot, is just a nasty knuckler. And you can see as the ball's approaching the goalkeeper, it kind of dips and just like falls like that knuckleball kind of does, where it's sort of unpredictable. And he gets his first goal of his MLS career for Sporting Kansas City in a goal that, I don't know, I mean, we're used to seeing Graham Zusi firing off shots from that distance. That's where the Graham Zusi for president call came. Now Jake Davis is doing it.
How he's doing it, man. He is, dude, he's the real deal. I mean, we kind of wondered at first, like when he started getting these looks at right back, pretty much out of necessity, right? Because people were injured. We needed somebody to get back there. And the man just got real comfortable real fast. Started doing the right things. Made a couple 20, 21-year-old mistakes. I think it's 22 now.
It happens.
It's like that's to be expected. But Jake Davis, with all due respect, is a nobody, but is about to be a somebody. It's someone, you're going to acknowledge him.
Yes. There was a few weeks ago. Was it a few weeks ago? And it was also after MLS Soccer put up the article about him a couple weeks ago. I was tweeting out, and I was like, if you're an MLS fan and you don't know the name Jake Davis, you better get used to that name pretty quick, because he's somebody who you're going to want to pay attention to. And it's pretty wild to me that his first start for Sporting Kansas City came June 10th, 2023, according to his MLSsoccer.com player page. This is not somebody who grew up playing right back. This is a guy who came up through the academy, signed a midfield or a first team contract as a midfielder, and he got thrust into starting at right back. And every single game that Sporting Kansas City has played since that time, Jake Davis has been the starting right back. And if he wants the job for the next 10 years, it's his job. I'm sure he has European aspirations and such at some point, but it would be crazy to talk to Jake Davis and ask him a year ago, if I told you that this was going to happen, what would you feel? And I would be fascinated to know his answer to that question.
It would be crazy to talk to Jake Davis. Perhaps we'll manifest a little something. We'll see what we can do there. Dude, I was kind of looking at Transfer Market here just now, and in November of 2022, they had his market value. He's 20 years old, His market value at 200,000 euros, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
What's the exchange rate from euro to dollar? It's pretty similar, isn't it?
It's similar-ish. The euros, it's going to be slightly more in dollars than it is in euros.
Okay, gotcha. So then that went up to €1 million in August of 2023, last year when he was doing some things. And they haven't had an update since December where it's still at $1 million here. It's
going to be more than that now.
It's got to be. Is his contract only through this year?
If it is, I'm sure they have an option for it.
Right. I'm sure there is.
I'm trying to see right now if I can do some quick Googling.
At 22 years old, man, I was not scoring bangers like that for anybody. Like, this is the kid from Rochester, Michigan, man, who's grown up in this academy, signed a homegrown deal when he was 19 years old, and is now rocking the left or the right back position for Sporting Kansas City. It's wild.
This is an article from 2021. I don't think there has been an update to the contract since then, but he was 19 at the time, signed in 2021, midfielder. Says Jake Davis has signed an MLS contract through 2023 with an option for 2024.
They picked up his option for 24. I know that.
They picked up his option, obviously, for this year, and I don't think he's signed a new contract since then.
So he's playing for contract money this year, like for a new deal.
To get quite the raise.
You would hope so.
Yes.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, he's going to be making some pretty good money after this year, I would venture to say. But you know what's better than money? Being the Holladay Distillery Toast of the Week. And I think Jake Davis, I think Jake Davis has got to be, he also has an assist. We haven't even talked about the assist yet, but Jake Davis has got to be the Holladay Distillery Toast of the Week. And I got some wonderful bourbon here from Holladay Distillery. You're getting a little, touchy-feely with that bottle over there, but you got the Five Farms Irish Cream. It's good too. So, hey, shout out to you, Jake Davis. Holladay Distillery Toast of the Week.
But my friends sipped on it this weekend, and they loved it. So there you go.
Pretty good. So shout out to Jake Davis.
God dang.
So 2-0, 2-0. Don't know how to say that in Canadian, but probably
you say 2-0.
2-0. 2-0. But you're thinking, okay, 2-0, most dangerous lead in soccer. Just see this one out. Don't let them score. See this one out. 84th minute, 83rd minute, I should say.
The whole time, I'm thinking like, okay, goddamn it, we had a 2-0 lead the other day. I don't like this. Let's pop another one up there, okay?
That's what was going through a lot of people's minds. I even saw Mike Kuhn from KC Soccer Journal. Once it hit the 73rd minute or so, he was like, we've now entered the window where Sporting collapsed last week. So, and I was like, don't do this to me.
Scary.
Don't do this to me.
You got to say it. You got to say the fact.
It is a fact. Alanis Vargas comes on. He'd been away from the team with the Honduran national team for a bit. He didn't end up playing. I'm excited about Alanis Vargas. This guy's got some speed and some skill to his name.
Bro, he is kind of, and he's kind of built like Daniel Shalhoub. So it's kind of like another, maybe a little quicker Daniel Shalhoub over there.
It's like a little bit more agile.
And he's kind of doing the whole, like, just poke it around you and beat you in a foot race to go get it. Like, that seems to be his MO, because if you got the speed, why the hell not use it?
That was what's so interesting. And you know what it actually reminded me of? Not to take it back to the current or whatnot, but he did the same thing that we're starting to see Temwa Chawinga do, where they're not just defined by speed and size and power or whatnot. They have this technical skill and the touch on the ball and the confidence in their skill, where they'll touch it around somebody and know that not only am I going to touch it to myself perfectly, I know I'm a better athlete than you, and I'm going to get there first. So Alanis Vargas, he got this ball from Jake Davis, does this gorgeous little touch, and then just runs past the Toronto defender as if he's standing still. And then I don't think people understand this goal is not easy. This is a goal where if you look at FontMob and their XG ratings, they gave this a 0.06 XG on this shot, which means that 6% of the time, 6 out of 100 shots, it is expected that this ball would go in. He's got to touch it perfectly so it still gets on frame, gets past the keeper, and he does it. And that gave me chills about what he can do in the future.
I mean, it should. And Peter just touts his name. He's just like, he likes him a lot. You can just tell. He was very upset when he went to go play for the national team and he didn't play. Like, they probably could have used him when they had some injuries going on and whatnot. So it's unfortunate. Maybe that LA Galaxy game turns out differently. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It was interesting because Peter said, it's a shame he had to go at the national team and not really play because we could have used him here. But I think all these experiences are great for him. Today, he showed what he can do against teams because if he wants to get out there and go, he can. And I think there's a little, I thought this was interesting. I think there's a little bit of an opportunity to grab that first winger off the bench spot. Kyrie's been injured, so, he's working his way back. But with Elenis gone, it's been Steven Afrifa. And Afrifa, very good athlete. Sometimes I think his mind seems to work a little bit faster than his body does. He doesn't quite make a decision, and he has a tendency to sort of get the ball tied up under his feet. I haven't seen that from Elenis Vargas yet. So this is a really great opportunity for Elenis Vargas to step in, grab hold of that I'm the first attacking option off the bench role, or if he proves good enough, then Eric Tani can slide back into the midfield instead of Memo Rodriguez at the number 10. You can have Elenis Vargas out on the right side if need be, if Johnny's hurt. So
good point.
I don't know, man. I'm really excited about what I'm seeing from Elenis Vargas. Now I tweeted out.
He's been like a late substitution lately. So it's I would love to see him get more consistent minutes. And I think we will. I think we will
too. There was 6-7 minutes of added time, and I tweeted out, and I probably should have known that I shouldn't have done this, but I tweeted out, with 10 minutes or so left, if Sporting KC can see out this clean sheet, that would go a long way. Sure enough, it gets to the 97th minute. There's 10 seconds left in the game, and then Jonathan Osorio sort of finds himself alone at the back post. Our boy Jake, he probably lets him drift a little bit too much, maybe just loses focus for a second. Jonathan Osorio puts it in the back of the net. It's literally the last action of the game. It ends 3-1 instead of a 3-0 shutout. Ultimately, really probably doesn't have much impact on something. I mean, unless it comes down to goal differential. A little frustrating, but doesn't ruin the vibes.
I want to tell you, I do not care about getting shutouts. I do not care. That is probably a Tim Melia thing. I bet Tim Melia cares a lot, because that's his job. His number one thing is to not let that happen. But as fan group, we should not care about not getting a clean sheet. We need to care about the 3 points, because that's what matters. Just get the 3 points however you need to get them. A team like us, that we really don't know what kind of team we have. We're not the all-stars. We're not the bottom dwellers. We're just kind of feeling each other out right now. You got to be happy with the victory.
Sure.
Screw the clean sheet, man. But Peter said that in the post game. He was like, really wanted to get the clean sheet. Peter, come on, man. Take the dub, dude. Like, we're happy.
I do think obviously he was very happy, and this was a huge 3 points. Not just because this was a road 3 points, but like you said, this was a road 3 points against a very good defense. They did not allow a ton of XG for Sporting Kansas City. If you look at the stats on the game, XG was relatively even for both teams, 1.5 to 1.6. The 3 goals that Sporting KC scored on had a combined XG of 0.11 on all 3 shots. Those were just solid finishes from Sporting Kansas City from chances that aren't typically finished in those fashion. It was a 0.03 XG for Remy, 0.02 for Jake, and 0.06 for Elenis.
It's a highlight reel. I mean, those 3 goals, all 3 of them go on a highlight reel, and they all happen in a single game. It's freaking weird, man.
Quality finishes, and enough to get Jake Davis, Remy Voltaire, and Peter Vermees all honored on the MLS Team of the Match Day.
Yes. When's the last time you saw Peter Vermees in charge of a team on the MLS Team of the Week? Bro, you're taking this momentum into a 3-game homestand. You got Portland coming on Sunday, and it's like, I've never felt more confident as a viewer of this team. I can only think that this team is feeling pretty confident right now, throwing 3 goals on Toronto away from home.
When we entered this 6-game stretch where it started with the San Jose game and it'll culminate with the rivalry against St. Louis on April 20th, I think I said on the podcast, I'd like to get at least 12 points from these next 6 games. And now I could have probably told you how I thought those 12 points would break down. I didn't think it would come from blowing a 2-0 lead against LA and then going on to have a dominant win in Toronto. But we're halfway through that 6-game stand, and we're halfway to 12 points right now. So if we can win 2 of the next 3 all at home against Portland, Miami, and St. Louis, then we've hit the mark that I set out for us at the beginning of this sort of 6-game stretch where we had 5 of the 6 home games. Obviously, I'd like to win all 3 of those games. Let's get up to 15 points through 6 games. That'd be awesome. But
St. Louis, man. Sorry, you mentioned St. Louis, who's just a wild team, bro. They've scored 11 goals and they've allowed 11 goals. Crazy.
Yeah.
So is Portland.
I was going to say Portland as well. They're a team that it's hard to really know who you're going to get on any given time. Portland this past week, they just lost to Vancouver. And so, this is that was a 3-2 game where Portland was down 2-0. They let in a goal 2 minutes in, and then another goal 29 minutes in. And then the second half, drew one back in the 52nd minute, made it 2-1, leveled things in the 77th minute, 2-2, and then gave up the go-ahead goal in the 87th minute and ultimately ended up losing that game. So they'll probably have a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth. They're no strangers to playing in Children's Mercy Park. They've won a Western Conference final in Children's Mercy Park. So it's not like they can't do this here, but it's a different Portland team. It's not the same one from old.
It is. I mean, they went and dropped, they dropped 2 at Vancouver, and Vancouver's playing very well, playing very good soccer right now. So it's like, I feel like Portland is very similar to our team right now, just in terms of quality and everything. But it'll be exciting, man. It's a midday game. It's our only one.
The only one
in the middle of the day.
So it's interesting. Portland has scored a lot of goals, but 4 of those goals came in their first game against the Colorado Rapids, where they won 4-1. They've only scored no more than 2 goals in the rest of their games. So they scored 4 goals once. They've scored 2 goals twice, 1 goal once, and then they were shut out against the Houston Dynamo. So they're not unstoppable. They are a solid team, and I feel like Sporting Kansas City right now is a solid team. So which of the 2 can be better on that day? I'd like to think it's Sporting Kansas City.
I would like to get an update on Alan and Johnny. That'd be super nice. Maybe get them some, even if it's late game minutes, to be some late game quality. But I don't know what to expect on Sunday, dude. I know in the middle of the day, it's you never really know what you're going to get. You hope for good weather. It is April, so I think the high is actually 69 with 55% chance of rain, it looks like. So we'll see if it rains on us.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm excited. I feel pretty confident that Sporting will at least get a result. I'm feeling pretty good that Sporting can actually go out there and beat Portland, as long as they're not looking ahead to the next 2 games. Now, Peter, I'm sure he'll have the team in line, won't be letting them look ahead too much. But, 6 days later, you got the big game in Arrowhead. We'll probably know a little bit more on Sunday in terms of the health of Lionel Messi, what his status is going to be. They've got the CONCACAF Champions Cup game on the 10th or 11th, I believe. I don't remember which day it is, but that midweek game that Miami's got to play in. So we'll know more about if they're going to be able to take on Miami. But can't look past Portland to Miami and St. Louis coming up those next 2 weeks. So if they stay focused, take care of business, maybe we see a little bit more of Lennis Vargas.
Big month, man. Big month. Playing some decent teams that I for one am excited to see. I always circle that Portland game. Portland's always kind of a fun team. And of course you got Miami, and then of course St. Louis, this new rivalry, man, where every edition last year was like, it wasn't just must see, it was must attend. I can't stress this enough. If you've never been in the stadium with the St. Louis fans there, obviously we won, so it was a blast. But it's just a good time, man.
You know what's wild to think is, like, I didn't go into this year thinking that Sporting Kansas City was going to be like a Supporters Shield contending team. I thought they could contend to host a home playoff game. But if they don't give up that late last minute at the death goal at home against the Philadelphia Union, and they don't blow a 2-0 lead in a span of 8 minutes against the LA Galaxy, that's 5 more points they have. We're sitting 14 points. Not only would we be top of the Western Conference, we'd be top of the entire league.
That's bullshit. That pisses me off, dude. I had forgotten about that last minute freaking antics and shit with Philly. But LA's good too, man. LA's a great team.
Galaxy are atop the West right now.
They're atop the West. Freaking love this league. It's so crazy.
There's a lot of parity. Sporting have 9 points. They're in 6th place right now. Galaxy are atop the West with 12 points. And then just outside the playoffs is St. Louis with 7 points. So, I mean, again, it's early, but it's relatively condensed. Then you got teams like Seattle that are winless through 5 games, 2 points.
Hold on, I should not stifle my laughter. I should let it be heard by all that I'm laughing at Seattle's misfortune.
I mean, the only one that has more misfortune is the New England Revolution right now. They got 1 point through 5 games, but
that's not great.
Seattle Sounders, man, they are not a good soccer team.
Well, wait till July because they'll come a knocking.
Mm-hmm. They something had to give, I guess, because they were playing the San Jose Earthquakes, and they could not get a victory against the San Jose Earthquakes. San Jose ended up winning that game, so they got their first win. I don't know, man. It's such a funny league because St. Louis went on that tear to start the year through the first 5 games last year, 5-0 through their first 5 ever games. People had kind of said it was, ourselves included, maybe it wasn't sustainable. And now you're seeing a lot more of, maybe St. Louis isn't quite top of the West. They've got 1 win and 4 draws through 6 games. 11 goals given, 11 goals scored, like you said. Something, maybe St. Louis fans are starting to realize that this league's not as easy as they thought it was to start the year last year. So I'm excited for that April 20th game too.
Be careful. You don't want to show up on someone's podcast over across the border there.
Well, hey, if they want to cut us and give us some free promotion, I'm all for it. So were there any other games this week that kind of caught your eye in terms of, oh, that was interesting or that was a fun result?
Look, I mean, I think Nashville had like a goal of the week contender, man. We had a bike in the Nashville game, and they tied Columbus. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also seeing that Dallas is not great.
Yes.
Dallas is really struggling. So that's interesting because Dallas has always been kind of that upper middle tier. They've always been up in the upper echelon.
They're always competitive.
Yeah. I'm shocked that Miami did not obliterate New York City at home. I know Lionel Messi's still out, right? He's still...
Yeah. I mean, Suarez has had a hell of a start, but...
Yeah, but 1-1 when New against a struggling New York City, I mean, that was points for the taking. I think I mentioned it last week. I was like, I'll be watching that one because that sounds like a beat-up.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, man, nothing else really. St. Louis or St. Salt Lake putting 3 on St. Louis. Love to see it.
Lake put 3 on St. Louis. Austin fans showed up to the Austin-Dallas game with a Wolf out sign, and then Austin went on to beat Dallas 2-1.
Didn't Josh Wolf respond? Didn't he say something at the end?
Oh, did he? I missed that.
I don't know. I heard something about that. I haven't looked it up yet, though.
I mean, they've been real mad. But again, Austin reminds me a lot of St. Louis is they got off to a real hot start their first year, capitalized on the emotion, then kind of crashed back to earth like the advanced analytics said. And I think a lot of people outside of Austin are like, yeah, this is how it goes. Like, you're not just going to defy what the advanced analytics say when no team has ever done that before. And St. Louis, they were revolutionizing soccer last year, and now they've crashed back. So we'll see. Columbus should have beaten Nashville. Diego Rossi missed a penalty kick. That would have won that game for Columbus. So no bueno there. But yeah, it's a really interesting league right now. Chicago, I think there were some people that were a little excited about some of the moves Chicago made. And I saw a tweet, and forgive me, I don't remember who said it. So I can't give credit, but it was, has any team ever done less with more than the Chicago Fire? And I feel like that's just sort of the Chicago Fire story, because they get these big name players, whether they be Jordan Shaqiri or Bastian Schweinsteiger or whoever, and it just doesn't amount to anything.
Yeah,
but
it's wild, man.
Can't fill a stadium either.
This week, though, dude, you got CONCACAF Champions Cup back in action, and also U.S. Open Cup back in action. Aren't you?
Open Cup's kind of fun.
Yeah. Is there an Open Cup team you're following? Is it the one that Roger Espinoza?
I was going to say. I mean, Des Moines Menace. Yeah, it's got to be the Des Moines Menace, who just signed Roger Espinoza to join Sasha Kljestan and everybody else that is just a washed-up MLS player that now they're bringing it. I shouldn't say Roger's washed up. He might be very good.
Well, they play Union Omaha, so it's a little wild, little territorial situation here. But we saw a Des Moines Menace player at the KC Current game on Saturday. Lo and behold, Roger Espinoza just walking around. Apparently Johnny was there too.
Oh, I didn't see Johnny.
And I think Fontas was also there.
Awesome.
That's what happens. You get injured, you go see a game with your buddies.
I guess if you're not making the trip and they're out of town, you don't got to be at the stadium. Go catch a soccer game. See what it's all about.
It didn't interfere with you watching your teammates later, so you can go home and watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun. It'll be fun to see some of these games and some of these teams that are lower level teams continue to try to make their run. There's going to be some really interesting CONCACAF Champions Cup games as well. Columbus Tigres, that can be really interesting. It's the first leg of Miami Monterrey. We don't know if Leo Messi will play in that, but that should be really interesting as well.
If Miami gets smashed that first leg by Monterrey, do you think, and Messi is available in the second leg, do you think Messi even plays the second leg?
Oh, that's a good question.
Why wouldn't they just save him and get him healthy for league play, and then we would probably potentially see him in Kansas City?
If they're down like 3 or 4 goals, I wouldn't be surprised if they held him out in that second leg, because it's in Monterrey too.
There's narrative.
Don't get him injured on the road.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, why make him travel? Like, hey, sit here, refresh. We'll sub you in on Saturday's game in Kansas City. It's possibilities. I'm here knocking on wood, hoping that everyone does have a good experience in Kansas City. I hope we all get what we paid for, right?
Yeah. You want him to play because people want to see him play, even though I have my thoughts about moving the game to Arrowhead.
Sure. But what's done is done. Done deal.
Yeah.
They're not moving it.
I don't want people who paid money to see Leo Messi not be able to see Leo Messi. I'd like them to have a good experience.
That would suck. I'm a big fan of Schadenfreude, so I would laugh if that happened. But, it is what it is.
Outside of actual results on the field or games coming up, there was a little bit of news that I just think is interesting that I think is fun to mention before we wrap up here. There were some rumors last week, starting with MLS Soccer's Tom Bogert, that LAFC was looking to sign Olivier Giroud, the French striker, who's played for Chelsea, he's played for AC Milan, he's obviously won the World Cup with the French national team, probably has the best head of hair in all of men's football, one of the most attractive men in all of men's football. Look, I know you got it too, but there's the well-manicured man of Olivier Giroud.
Good-looking dude.
So then there's some expectations of, okay, now they're going to sign him. Then they make an announcement. They're signing a Frenchman. It's not Olivier Giroud. It's Maxime Chanot, who played, I think he spent some time with United for a bit. But then what's interesting is now I'm wondering if this Giroud move is still happening, because LAFC did sign a striker. It was not Olivier Giroud they signed. It was none other than Kansas City's old friend, Kai Kamara, who has signed with LAFC. I think it's his 12th team. And it's just
that's a huge difference. That is not Olivier Giroud.
Olivier Giroud to Kai Kamara?
Yeah, a little different. But, dude, I respect the Kai Kamara swagger. Like, 11 to be play for all these teams. Like, it's not like he's, manipulating them to, like, pay him. Like, they aren't paying him because he's a good player. And it's like, you got to respect the hustle, dude. You got to respect the fact that he's still going at this level. It's crazy.
My theory is, look, Kai's not going to get to Wando. Chris Wondolowski's record is 171 goals. Kai Kamara has 144 goals. He's not going to score 28 more goals in his career, most likely. That's a tall order. You know what he could do, though? He could pass Landon Donovan, who's second with 145 goals. You think he can score 2 more goals in his career and take sole possession of second place all time? Absolutely.
That's wild.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kai's playing until he gets 2 more goals, and he's like, okay, I beat Landon Donovan. I'm good.
Dude, you know what's crazy is, like, players that play for different teams throughout their career, like Paul Pierce, Boston Celtics, LA Clippers, the Nets, Wizards. Like, but he always kind of had that allegiance to Boston. They were the team. But, like, where's Kai's allegiance when you have 12 takers?
Yeah. I mean,
who does he call home? Who's his family? Are they all just family?
Well, and it's interesting, because he was with Sporting Kansas City into 2013 and then went on loan to Norwich City. So, he was a part of that MLS Cup run that was with Norwich City. I mean, he's had a couple of different runs with the Columbus Crew, so you could say there. I mean, his longest run with any one team was Sporting Kansas City. And obviously I'm biased when I think of Kai Kamara and a team associated with him. I would say it's got to be Sporting Kansas City or the Columbus Crew because he had his 2 stints with them. But yeah, if you look at his Wikipedia and go through the teams he's played for, it's not just the 11 MLS teams. It's also that he had spells with Norwich City and Middlesbrough over in England as well. So he's played for, once he got to first level soccer, he's played for like 15 different teams, which is pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
So,
wow.
But hey, good for him. I mean, I wish him well as long as he's not playing against Sporting Kansas City. LAFC's definitely struggling this year, so not quite what they once were.
Yeah, for sure.
You got anything else for our good listeners, man?
Hey, that sounds about it, man. I was kind of looking at games to look at for the weekend, and really it's Sporting in Portland for me. I know you got LAFC playing the Galaxy, so I mean that's a fun little rivalry there. Yeah. Other than that, there is a lot of soccer in the middle of the week, man. Just go check out the schedule and turn on an Open Cup game, turn on a CONCACAF game. Soccer everywhere.
Soccer, it's awesome. Thank y'all so much for listening and sticking with us. Awesome 6-point week. Go make sure you listen to Currently this week. They can break down the win against Angel City and talk what's coming up next with the Kansas City Current. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating and review. We read them here or on Currently, whichever one is the most relevant. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Send us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com, or watch us on YouTube, KCSN Soccer, or through the Kansas City Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan, I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Love y'all.